10. Hi guys, General Splatting here. Today we're going to take a look at, in more depth at some of the miniatures from the Drake Kickstarter. And so without further ado, let's get right to it. Back with some dragons. Alright, let's get right to it. The first thing off that struck me is the curious mix of resin and metal pieces to make up these dragons. Seemed like they could have went all in one way or the other, but they have a mix. So first up is you got the bases here. Feet are modeled on all three of the dragons that I've got onto the bases themselves, and you got some jagged stuff that you're going to have to clean up, but it's well molded, lots of good detail as you see there. This is the big dragon body for this particular one, and it goes, you got holes, so it's going to be easy to pin this, and you see it just mates right up, minimum of gaps. Nice job of them mating up like they should. Now one thing about this is there's a fill port here that I had to clip off, and I'm going to have to drill out that. But as you see, also this is the back portion. This is where the tail goes. This was another fill port, and there is one significant mold line right there. The body doesn't really have a mold line like that, so but there is one on this particular tail. But you just line it up, pops right in, as you see there. It'll be, there is some gap, but not too bad. And you see it's got some good bulk to it. This is for the front arm that he's raising up. You got lots of good pinning ability here, where they got the recesses and then the peg type thing, so you can easily put pins in it. Again, minimal gaps. It's not bad. I mean, these are brand new molds, so they should be turning out some pretty good stuff. Now here's one thing about the wings I'm rather curious. I got a dark one and I got a light one. I guess they just use two different kinds of products that day or something. I don't know. Anyway, this one here, see, you can easily put a pin in there, easily lines up, bam. Not much gap once you get it in exactly the right place. So same way with this one, going in here, a little trim work. I hadn't trimmed any of this stuff, so but it'll easily go in, as you see. Now here's where the oddities come in. Now I can't really show you two-part head, basically stick it on top, and their dragons come this way, and there's the head of the dragon. So well done. You don't see much mold lines, maybe just slightly here and there, but that's it. Not really kind of any eyes. But here's and then it would obviously, you could put a big pin in there. You know, this is heavy out on this end. This weighs a good portion, and then it just slide right in like that. But obviously I hadn't drilled it out. Now here's where it gets some of the oddities. You got these little bitty fiddly pieces like teeth or little feelers on the side of the jaw that I've seen, and you've got several of those to put on. Here's another one. So let's do it that way. There we go. So those will have to be put on. So, you know, very delicate and very fiddly. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Here we have another base. This is for the waterborne guy. You got 2 feet and then a tail section. And these do line up. I might not be able to do it, but they go in there, and then this pops in like so. There we go. And it does go in. I was worried. But minimal gaps. It is kind of tricky to get it in there, but it does go in. So, and it actually gets kind of stable there. Next, you've got the bodies. Now, see, here's the oddities about it. You know, why they couldn't cast this all in resin, I don't understand. But you got a body here that will go on like so, and then you put it in. So I mean, they made up well, but I just don't understand the reasoning behind it. So it just seemed odd. Now let's continue on. Then you have a neck portion that goes like so. There. And then you got another two-part head, and I hadn't cleaned these up. And then the head goes together like that, and then it will sit on the neck like so if it was cleaned, and so you could, but it's easy to pin. Then you got two arms that come off the sides. This one will be in here. Then you have one here, like so. That will go in there. Now here's an odd thing. This should have been probably resin, because this little spell effect cloud thing would go in here, and that's going to be kind of difficult to keep that on, I would think, over time. You know, bumping it rips off. Then you've got the wings again. This particular wing goes in here. Like I said, I hadn't trimmed these up, but you can put a pin in there, and then made it certainly into everything. Nice big huge wing, little bitty body, huge wings. You know, the other one was kind of curious. Big body, little bitty tiny wings, but those are going there, and they should mate up just fine. Alright, let's go on to the third. Here's where it gets interesting, because this one is all metal. Alright, so you got the feet molded into the base again, and the stuff you got to clean up on the bottom part. Now this one has 13,000 pieces. Here's the main body. This one's going to be a lot trickier, because you got these ridges. Well, I hadn't cleaned off the bottom part. I did snip off that, but you see what you got there. Big gaps, and they don't sink in, so you're going to have to do some cutting to get this down in like it's supposed to be. Then you're going to have some gaps to fill with that. I don't know why that couldn't be molded into the body itself, but you know, I'm not a sculptor. Alright, you got bat wing number 1 that goes right here, and that'll sit in there pretty good with the pin. Same way with the one on the other side. You know, well done. I mean, you know, flash and the fill ports to deal with. There's some little bit of voiding, but overall, you know, nothing that you can't conquer that way. And then you just got to figure out, you know, where the tail goes, like right here. You know, that'd be easy to pin. Some gap filling. Another two-part head, you know, top and bottom. Bottom, top, it goes in together. You'll have to cut and get it in. I don't remember if I think his mouth's supposed to be open on this one. The leg portions, you know, see, they're well done. Just gotta clip off a lot, you know, some little mold lines here and there. I don't remember what these are for. I'll have to make some flaps on the back or something. Then the hands, you know, they're cast well. Yeah, those are fins, it looks like. And then I have no idea what that piece goes to. But this one is going to be very tricky, as you see. A lot of pinning for stability, because all of this weighs a pretty good bit. So, but overall, I really like the dragons. Like I said, it's just an odd mix of resin and metal, and then you've got all the pieces on this Joker here that's all metal. So let's look at some of the man size or humanoid figures. Okay, we got these two guys. Basically you've got they're all molded in one piece, and then you've got an arrow pack to put on the back of it. But there it is. I think pretty well done. Looks pretty good to me. Just about on quality with other pieces. Maybe not as flamboyant as some, at least these particular figures. And you just slap them in. Take the little you got the arrow molded on the back. You know, nice cloak work, flows well. Some mold lines that you're gonna have to take care of, like right there, but you take the arrow back and it's got a little bitty hole that you probably can't see right there, and a little bitty peg right here to line it up. There's a little peg that you see, and basically you kind of get it in that general area, and bam, there's the backpack. Right, here's some more. You got some ugly looking dudes there. Nice work on it. This particular, you see, is a multi-part. It's got arms and spears and or javelins, and the backpack for javelins, where it would got a little peg, little hole, line them up, boom, goes in. Once you clean them all off and get them in the right spot, javelin hand be that way in, and then you have another hand for actually, yep, there we go, for the other side. So pretty cool. Pretty good detail on them. Good looking face. Look at some others. Alright, here we are. I'm sorry these are not primed so you can see facial features better and things like that, but here's some dudes. Good musculature through the torso. These are bigger guys, so they're on bigger bases, so they would go in. Here's a cool looking one. So their version of the Hulk. And that's not a miscast really on the skin. It's kind of looks like scaly. These are one of the fish guys, or the water guys, whichever way you want to say it, I would think. So, you know, they're supposed to, there's kind of modeling scales along the back here. So, then you got, you know, bone clubs, things like that, and the arms and hands. They look pretty cool. And let's see, is this the other one? Yeah, they've got two that are the same, and then one a little differently. Alright, next we got the guys that remind me of Aztec guys, or Inca guys, one of them South American peoples. But good musculature, especially through the torso and the abs there. Good modeling on the back for the musculature there, as you see. I think the other one, they're both exactly the same. Yep, they're both exactly the same. Then you've got their weapons, like the sword, spear, and the half for there, like the throwing spear that uses the hook method. So those are pretty cool. Okay, here's one of the faction's female figures, as you see right there. She was real hubba hubba. Anyway, and her leg that would come back and fit in there if it didn't have the port fill on it. Now this is, her spear is very, very delicate. You can see how thin that is. So woo. And her forearm, because it's not her whole arm. That's what needs to be clipped. So a lot of fiddly parts on some of these, as you see, but it does have nice detail there, and certainly her with her expressions. Not, I think these were more true scale, it seems to be, but she see the delicateness of her hands. So these are gaming pieces, so you'd have to be kind of careful with a lot of them. This will be the last one I show you. This is one of the I call them the Minion dragons, but it'll give you an idea about. There's the body. Looks well done. Pretty well sculpted. Good face. Now these are going to be kind of, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but you get the point. I mean, these, this is our first effort into miniature making, so but that would go in like so. If I could stick them on there so it'd give you some idea. Now these are just stick on the sides like so, and then same way with the one over here. If it didn't have the fin on it, it would go like so. And you see the big fill ports that you still got to clip off, but it would go on like that as well. The arms clipped off so they could be put on separately. And that's interesting. I just noticed this. The arms will clip to the wing itself, so you'd have the wing stuck on and then the arm coming off that way. So, but once it's put together, it'd be a pretty cool little model. So, if you have any questions about anything or your thoughts on it, yeah, they did some curious things. But got to remember, guys, that this is a new company, and they were bold enough to do this, and they're doing stuff that I can't do. So keep that in mind. They started with nothing, and they've delivered their product, and still got other things that's going on. So hey, thumbs up to them for that. More power, guys. And just some curious choices I made, but hey, they're new at it, and they're learning. And I think they're doing a pretty good job at it too. I'm pleased with the miniatures. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of challenges, especially some of these smaller miniatures that have like 6 or 7 parts to them, and they're going to be in spots very delicate. And that's maybe a drawback for gaming pieces. But overall, good quality. Like what they've done. They delivered on what they said they would do. So my hat's off to them. Take it for what it's worth. If you got anything else you want to know, just let me know. This is General Splatton, and I'll talk again. Dismissed.